My name is Emily Carter. I'm 31 years old. And for 31 years, I lived in a house where I was fed like I didn't matter. Last Easter, I found out why. My uncle leaned back in his chair, half a glass of bourbon deep, looked straight at me across the table, and said 6 words that didn't belong in a family like mine. "You were never one of ours, Emily." My father froze. My mother dropped her fork. 12 people sat around that table and watched something invisible finally become visible. I didn't understand it at that moment. Not fully. But something inside me shifted, like a lock clicking open after years of pressure. Because suddenly, everything made sense. The separate meals. The leftovers. The way my sister always had more, better, first. The way I was always last. Before I take you back to that night, take a second to subscribe to Women Reddit stories, but only if stories like this stay with you. If you've ever felt like you didn't belong in your own family, this one is for you. Now let me take you back. I drive 3 hours from my apartment in Columbus to a small town called Brookfield, Indiana. Population barely 6,000. The kind of place where everyone knows your parents before they know your name. My parents' house sits at the end of Maple Drive. White siding, black shutters, a porch my dad repainted every summer like clockwork. Nothing about it looks unusual. Nothing about it warns you. I pull into the driveway behind my sister Lauren's SUV. A brand new Lexus RX, still shining like it just left the dealership. My car is a 10-year-old Ford Focus with a dented rear bumper and a check engine light that's been on since November. Dad helped Lauren with her car. He told me mine was still running fine. I grab the store-bought pie from my passenger seat and walk up to the door. Mom opens it before I knock. "Emily, you made it." She hugs me quickly, lightly, the kind of hug that feels like checking off a task. Inside, the house smells like honey-glazed ham and roasted vegetables. Warm. Inviting. If you didn't know better. And then I see the dining table. Set for 12. 11 real plates. One smaller, mismatched plate at the far end. Mine. I don't react. I never do. Not anymore. Lauren is already seated beside Dad, legs crossed, scrolling through her phone. She looks up when I walk in. "Hey, Em. Traffic bad?" "Not too bad." She smiles, already turning back to her screen. I carry the pie into the kitchen and set it on the counter. Mom glances at it. "Oh, Lauren brought dessert already. We probably don't need to." "Right," I say. "Of course. I've learned not to take up space where I'm not needed." Dinner starts at 6, just like every holiday. Dad sits at the head of the table. Mom to his right. Lauren beside her. Her fiancé, Kyle, is next to her. The rest of the family fills in around them like pieces of a puzzle that always fit. I take my seat at the end. Same as always. But tonight, it's not just the seat. It's the food. Mom sets plates in front of everyone. Thick slices of ham. Buttered rolls. Roasted carrots glazed with brown sugar. When she reaches me, she hesitates for half a second. Then she sets down something different. A small portion. Plain chicken breast. No glaze. No sides. Like always. "Thought you'd prefer something lighter," she says. I nod. "Thanks." I don't remind her that I never said that. I don't remind her that I used to ask for what everyone else had. I stopped asking years ago. Lauren laughs at something Kyle says, leaning into him, her plate full, her glass already refilled. Dad watches her like she's something he built himself. I watch quietly, cutting into dry chicken. This wasn't new. It had never been new. When I was 8, Lauren got pancakes with chocolate chips shaped into smiley faces. I got toast. When I was 12, Lauren had a birthday party with a catered cake and 20 guests. Mine was a grocery store cupcake the day after because Mom forgot. When I was 16, Lauren got a car. I got a lecture about responsibility. We grew up in the same house. But we didn't grow up the same. I used to think it was my fault. That was difficult. That I didn't fit. That something about me made it harder for them to love me the same way. You tell yourself stories like that when you're a kid because the alternative is worse. The alternative is that the people who are supposed to love you just don't. Dinner moves the way it always does. Conversations circle around Lauren. Her promotion at the marketing firm in Indianapolis. Her engagement to Kyle. Their new condo. Dad asks questions. Real ones. Follow-ups. Details. Mom beams like everything Lauren says confirms something she always believed. I wait for a gap. I got promoted last month, I say finally. Senior coordinator at the clinic. Dad nods without looking at me. That's good. One word. Good. No questions. No interest. Just acknowledgement. Lauren smiles politely. That's great, Em. Then she turns back to Kyle. The conversation moves on without me. I take a sip of water and let it pass through me like it always does. After dinner, I carry my plate to the sink. Mom is already there, rinsing dishes. You didn't eat much, she says. I'm full. She nods like that's the expected answer. In the living room, Dad and Lauren sit on the couch going through photos on her phone. Vacation pictures. Her new kitchen. Her engagement ring up close under perfect lighting. There are framed photos on the wall behind them. I count them. 15. Every single one of Lauren. Not one of me. I stopped noticing a long time ago. But tonight, I noticed again. 15. 0. The doorbell rings at 6:40. Mom wipes her hands and goes to answer it. Daniel, you made it. Uncle Daniel steps in, shrugging off his jacket, a bottle of bourbon in hand. He's my mom's younger brother. Loud, blunt, the kind of man who says things other people think but never say out loud. He spots me immediately. Emily, he says, pulling me into a hug that actually feels like one. Good to see you. You too. He holds me at arm's length for a second, studying my face like he's trying to remember something. Then he lets go. We all gathered back in the living room. Coffee. Dessert. Small talk. Uncle Daniel pours himself a drink. Then another. He's laughing, telling a story about work, something about a contractor who messed up a job. Everyone's listening. Even Dad. Especially Dad. But I noticed something. Every now and then, Uncle Daniel's eyes drift back to me. Not casually. Deliberately. Like he's weighing something. Mom notices too. She keeps offering to refill his glass. Keeps smiling a little too tightly. Keeps glancing at Dad. Like they're both waiting for something they can't stop. By the time dessert is served, Uncle Daniel is on his third drink. The room is warm. Comfortable. Predictable. Until it isn't. He sets his glass down harder than necessary. The sound cuts through the room. Funny thing about families, he says. Nobody responds at first. Then Dad chuckles. What's that supposed to mean? Uncle Daniel looks around the room. Then his eyes land on me. And stay there. The air shifts. You can feel it before you understand it. Like the moment before a storm breaks. He leans back in his chair, exhales slowly, and says it. You were never one of ours, Emily. Everything stops. Lauren's smile fades. Kyle lowers his fork. Mom's hand freezes midair. Dad goes completely still. And me. I just sat there. Because for the first time in my life, something finally sounds like the truth. Not shocking. Not impossible. Just overdue. No one speaks. The silence stretches long enough to hurt. Then Dad pushes his chair back. He's drunk, he says sharply. He doesn't know what he's saying. Uncle Daniel doesn't look at him. He keeps his eyes on me. I know exactly what I'm saying, he replies. Mom's voice cracks. Daniel, stop. But he doesn't. Because some things, once they start, don't stop. And deep down, I think we all knew this moment was coming. We just didn't know when. Or how. Or that it would take one sentence to change everything I thought I understood about my life. Dad's voice cuts through the room, sharp enough to make everyone flinch. That's enough, Daniel. But Uncle Daniel doesn't look at him. He doesn't look at anyone except me, like the rest of the room has already faded out. You deserve to know, he says, quieter now, but somehow heavier. You always did. Mom stands so quickly her chair scrapes against the floor. We are not doing this tonight. Her voice is tight, controlled, but there's something underneath it, fear. Not irritation. Not embarrassment. Fear. Dad steps forward, placing himself between Daniel and the rest of the room like he can physically block whatever is about to happen. He's been drinking, Dad says, looking around at everyone else, not at me. He doesn't know what he's saying. Let's just move on. Move on. That's the phrase they've used my entire life. Move on from the forgotten birthdays. Move on from the separate meals. Move on from the empty wall. I don't move. I stay exactly where I am. Because something inside me refuses this time. Then explain it, I say. My voice surprises even me. It's steady. Calm. Dad finally looks at me. Emily, don't. No, I interrupt, and now everyone is looking at me. If he's wrong, then say he's wrong. Tell me what he means. Silence settles again, thicker this time. Dad's jaw tightens. Mom presses her hands together like she's holding something in place. Lauren looks between them, confusion creeping into her expression. Wait, she says slowly. What is he talking about? No one answers her either. Uncle Daniel lets out a quiet breath, like he's been holding it for years. Ask your parents, he says. Mom turns on him. You need to leave. Daniel shakes his head. Not until she hears it. Dad steps closer to him. You don't get to walk into my house, En. Your house? Daniel cuts in, his voice rising just enough to crack the surface. You mean the house where you raised a child you knew wasn't yours? The room tilts. Not physically. Not visibly. But something inside it shifts so completely that nothing feels stable anymore. Lauren lets out a small, disbelieving laugh. Okay, this isn't funny. Kyle puts a hand on her arm, but he doesn't say anything. Mom's face has gone pale in a way I've never seen before. Dad doesn't move. And that's when I know. Not because of what Daniel said. But because of what Dad didn't. If it were a lie, he would have shut it down immediately. Loudly. Completely. He didn't. He just stands there. And that silence says everything. I push my chair back slowly and stand. Is it true? I ask. I'm not looking at Daniel anymore. I'm looking at my parents. Mom shakes her head, but it's too fast, too automatic. Emily, please. Is it true? I repeat. Dad runs a hand over his face, like he's buying time he doesn't have. This isn't the way to talk about it. That's not an answer. Lauren's voice breaks in, sharper now. Talk about what? No one responds to her again. I feel something rising in my chest. Don't panic. Not anger. Clarity. The kind that comes when something you've felt your entire life finally has a name. That's why, isn't it? I say quietly. That's why everything was different. Mom closes her eyes. Dad exhales slowly. And neither of them denies it. Lauren looks at me, then at them, her confusion turning into something else, something closer to fear. Different how? She asks. I don't look at her. I can't. Because if I do, I might say things I've kept buried for too long. Forget it, I say. But Uncle Daniel doesn't let it go. She ate leftovers while you got full meals, he says, his voice steady now. She slept in a room that doubled as storage while you got the master bedroom at 16. You think that was normal? Lauren's face drains of color. That's not, she starts, but the words don't finish. Because somewhere, deep down, she knows. Or at least, she's starting to. Mom steps forward, her voice shaking. Daniel, you're twisting things. I'm starting them, he says. Out loud. For once. Dad's patience snaps. Get out. The words land hard. Daniel looks at him, really looks at him, like he's measuring something. Then he nods once. I will, he says. But this doesn't go back in the box after tonight, Robert. You know that. He turns to me. I'm sorry it came out like this, he says. But you deserved better than silence. Then he walks out. The front door closes behind him, and the sound echoes through the house like something final. No one moves. No one speaks. It's like the entire room is waiting for someone to put things back the way they were. But that's the thing about truth. Once it's out, it doesn't go back. I pick up my coat from the back of my chair. Emily, Mom says quickly, stepping toward me. Don't go like this. Like what? I ask. She doesn't answer. Because there's no version of this that isn't exactly what it is. Dad finally speaks, his voice lower now. We'll talk about this tomorrow. Tomorrow. Another delay. Another attempt to control the timing. I shake my head. No, I say. You've had 31 years to talk about it. Lauren steps closer, her voice softer now. Emily, just wait. I look at her then. Really look. And for the first time, I see something I've never seen before. Not confidence. Not easy. Uncertainty. I need to go, I say. I walk past them, through the hallway, to the front door. My hand rests on the knob for half a second. And in that moment, something shifts again. No confusion this time. Decision. I open the door and step outside. The night air is cold, sharp against my skin. I walk to my car without looking back. I don't hear footsteps behind me. No one follows. I get in, close the door, and sit there with my hands on the steering wheel. My phone starts buzzing almost immediately. Mom. Then Dad. Then Lauren. I let it ring. All of them. Because for once, I'm not the one chasing answers. They are. But I already know the truth. Or at least, enough of it. And the rest. The rest I'll find myself. I start the engine, back out of the driveway, and pull onto Maple Drive. The house disappears behind me in the rearview mirror. White siding. Black shutters. The same house I grew up in. The same house that suddenly feels like it never belonged to me at all. I drive for 10 minutes before I pull over. A quiet stretch of road just outside town. Streetlight flickering overhead. I sit there, breathing, trying to process something that doesn't fit neatly into thoughts yet. My phone buzzes again. I flipped it over this time. 7 missed calls from Mom. 3 from Dad. 5 from Lauren. 1 text from Lauren. What is going on? Please tell me. I stare at the message. Then type back. I think I was never supposed to be there. I hit send before I can overthink it. The reply comes almost instantly. That's not true. I don't answer. Because I don't know if she believes that. Or if she just needs to. I lean back in my seat and stare up at the ceiling of my car. 31 years. 31 years of feeling like something was off. Like I was out of place in my own life. And now. Now there's a reason. But a reason doesn't fix it. It just changes the question. Not what's wrong with me. But what did they do? I sat there for a long time. Long enough for the cold to seep into the car. Long enough for the shock to settle into something heavier. Something steadier. Then I reach for my phone again. Open my browser. And type 3 words. DNA test kit. Processing time, 6 to 8 weeks. I stare at the screen. 6 to 8 weeks to confirm what I already feel in my bones. 6 to 8 weeks to prove something my parents couldn't say out loud in 31 years. My thumb hovers over the screen for a second. Then I press the order. Because if they won't tell me the truth, I'll find it myself. The DNA kit arrives on a Thursday morning. Small box. Plain white packaging. My name printed neatly across the top like it belongs to something ordinary. I set it on my kitchen counter and just look at it. For a long time. Because ordering it felt easy. Click. Confirm. Done. But this feels different. This is the point where curiosity turns into something permanent. Once I open it, there's no going back to not knowing. My phone buzzes. Mom. Again. She's called every day since Easter. Sometimes twice. Left voicemails she never used to leave. Emily, please call me. I just want to talk. We can fix this. Fix this. I don't answer. Another buzz. Lauren this time. Can we meet? Please? I stare at the message, then flip my phone over without responding. I'm not ready for conversations yet. Not with them. Not until I have something solid in my hands. Something they can't deflect or soften or twist into something smaller than it is. I turn back to the box. Pick it up. Open it. Inside, everything is clean. Clinical. Efficient. A cheek swab. A small tube. Instructions printed in simple steps. It should feel like nothing. But my hands are shaking. I sit at the counter, reading the instructions twice even though they're straightforward. Swab. Seal. Send. That's it. 90 seconds of action for answers that could rewrite 31 years. I press my lips together, then unwrap the swab. Okay, I say out loud, just to hear something in the room besides my own breathing. I follow the steps carefully. Slowly. Like going too fast might change the outcome. When I finish, I seal the tube, slide it into the prepaid envelope, and set it back on the counter. Done. Just like that. Except it doesn't feel done. It feels like something just started. I grab my keys and head out before I can overthink it. The post office is 5 minutes away. I stand in line behind an older man mailing a package, watching the clock tick above the counter. Every second feels louder than it should. When it's my turn, I hand the envelope to the clerk. She smiles politely. DNA test? I blink. Yeah. My sister did one of those, she says, scanning it. Found out we're part Irish. Kinda fun. Fun. I nod. Yeah. Fun. She hands me a receipt. I take it, thank her, and walk out. The sun is bright, almost too bright. I sit in my car for a moment before starting the engine. 6 to 8 weeks. That's how long it takes to find out if your entire life has been built on something that was never true. I drive home, but I don't go straight there. Without thinking, I take the turn toward Maple Drive. Old habits. The house comes into view before I realize I've made the choice. White siding. Black shutters. Exactly the same as always. Mom's car is in the driveway. Lauren's isn't. I slow down. Just enough to look. The windows catch the afternoon light. The living room curtains are open. From the outside, it looks like any other house. Warm. Stable. Normal. But now I know better. I keep driving. This time, I don't stop. Weeks pass. Not quickly. Not slowly. Just heavily. I go to work at the veterinary clinic. Answer calls. Schedule appointments. Comfort people holding animals they're about to lose. It's strange how easy it is to be steady for other people. Even when your own life feels like it's shifting under your feet. I don't go back to Brookfield. I don't answer every call. Lauren keeps trying. Texts. Calls. Voicemails. Eventually, I pick up. Emily, she says immediately, like she's been waiting for me to exist again. What is happening? I lean against my kitchen counter, phone pressed to my ear. I don't know yet, I say. Mom says Uncle Daniel was lying. What do you think? Silence. I hear her breathing. I think, she starts, then stops. I think something's wrong. That's the closest she's ever come to saying it. I ordered a DNA test, I tell her. Another silence. Longer this time. You didn't tell me, she says. You didn't ask. That's not fair. I let out a quiet breath. Neither was the rest of it. She doesn't respond right away. When she does, her voice is softer. Come over, she says. Please. We can talk. I shake my head, even though she can't see it. Not yet. Emily. I need to know first. I hang up before she can argue. Because I know how this goes. Talks without answers. Apologies without explanations. I'm done with that. Days turn into weeks. 3 weeks in, I start noticing things differently. Not just the big memories. The small ones too. The patterns I ignored because they were easier not to question. Like how Mom never corrected anyone when they said Lauren looked just like Dad. But never said anything about me. Like how Dad never taught me to drive. Lauren got lessons at 16. I figured it out myself at 19. Like how I was always described as independent. Which sounded like a compliment. Until I realized it really meant on your own. I start going through old things. Boxes I moved with me years ago but never really unpacked. Photo albums. School papers. Birthday cards. There aren't many photos of me. I knew that already. But seeing it laid out. It's different. 3 albums. Dozens of pictures. Lauren everywhere. Smiling. Celebrated. Centered. Me. Barely there. Group shots. Background. Edges. Like I was part of the scenery, not the story. But then I find one. A loose photo tucked between pages. I'm maybe 5 years old. Standing in the backyard. And next to me. A man I don't recognize. He's crouched down slightly, one hand resting on my shoulder. Not stiff. Not formal. Natural. Like he belongs there. I stare at his face. Brown hair. Slightly wavy. Light eyes. Blue. I flip the photo over. There's handwriting on the back. Mom's. Summer 1995, Carter House Barbecue, RH. RH. I say it out loud. RH. The letters sit there, simple, meaningless. Except they're not. Because I've never seen them before. Never heard them. And yet. Something about them feels important. I grab my phone. Type the initials into the search bar with the town name. Nothing at first. Then a few scattered results. Old listings. Outdated records. And then a name. Ryan Hayes, Indianapolis, Indiana. I click on it. A business page. Carpentry. Custom woodwork. There's a photo. A man in a workshop. Older now. Hair graying. But the eyes. Still blue. I walk to the bathroom mirror, holding my phone up beside my face. Blue eyes. Same shade. Same shape. My heart starts beating faster. Not panic. Recognition. I zoom in on his photo. Then on mine. The jawline. The nose. It's not exact. But it's close enough. Close enough to make something inside me go very, very still. I lower the phone slowly. Because suddenly, this isn't just about a test result that hasn't come back yet. It's about a possibility. A name. A person. A life that might exist just outside the one I've always known. I look back down at the photo in my hand. At the man with his hand on my shoulder. At the way I'm smiling in a way I don't see in any other picture from that time. Like I felt safe. I sit down on the edge of my bed. The room is quiet. Too quiet. And for the first time since I ordered the test, I realize something. 6 to 8 weeks isn't just waiting for answers. It's waiting to find out if this man, Ryan Hayes, is the reason I was never treated like I belonged. And if he is, then somewhere out there, there's a version of my life that was supposed to be different. I don't call him. Not that day. Not the next. Knowing a name is one thing. Reaching out to it is something else entirely. Because once you cross that line, it stops being a possibility and becomes real. And real things don't stay contained. They expand. They affect people. They change things you can't undo. So I wait. Not because I'm unsure. But because I need to be certain. 4 weeks pass. Then 5. The waiting becomes part of my routine, like something I carry in the background of every moment. At work, I check my email more than I need to. At home, I find myself staring at my phone like it might decide to give me answers early. Mom keeps calling. Less now, but still often enough that I feel it. Sometimes she leaves voicemails. Emily, please, we need to talk. I know you're upset. I never meant for things to be like this. That last one stays with me. Not, I didn't do it. Not, it isn't true. Just, I never meant for things to be like this. Intent doesn't erase impact. It just explains it. Lauren calls too. More than Mom. When I answer, she doesn't pretend anymore. Is it real? She asks one night, her voice low. What he said. I don't have the results yet. But you think it is? I pause. Then I say the only honest thing I have. I think it explains everything. She exhales slowly, like she's letting something settle into place. I keep replaying things, she says. Stuff I didn't question before. Like what? She hesitates. Like why you always ate something different, she says finally. I thought you just liked it that way. I didn't. I know that now. There's something in her voice I haven't heard before. Not guilt exactly. Awareness. I didn't see it, she says quietly. I know. And I do. That's the complicated part. Lauren didn't create the system. She just lived comfortably inside it. We talk for a few more minutes, then hang up. The distance between us isn't gone. But it's different now. Less invisible. More acknowledged. 6 weeks. 7. By the start of week 7, I stop pretending I'm patient. Every notification makes my chest tighten. Every morning, I check my email before I even get out of bed. Nothing. Until Thursday. I'm sitting at my kitchen table with a cup of coffee that's already gone cold when my phone vibrates. An email. Subject line, your DNA results are ready. Everything in me goes still. Not dramatic. Not explosive. Just still. Like the moment before you open something that you already know will change everything. I set my coffee down. Wipe my hands on my jeans, even though they're not wet. Then I open the email. There's a link. I click it. Log in. My fingers feel slightly numb, like they're not fully connected to the rest of me. The page loads. Bright colors. Clean design. Like this is something exciting. Something people celebrate. I scroll. Ethnicity estimate first. Percentages fill the screen. English. Irish. German. French. I read them once. Then again. Then I sit back in my chair. Because something is missing. Dad's family is Italian. Loud, proud, unmistakably Italian. He talks about it constantly. Family recipes. Heritage. Stories about his grandparents coming over from Naples. There's not a single percentage of Southern European on my screen. Not one. I stare at it for a long time. Then I scroll down. DNA matches. My heart starts beating faster now. Not anxiety. Confirmation. Close family. The list loads. Names appear. I scan them quickly. None of them say Carter. Not one. I scroll slower this time. Reading carefully. Double-checking. Nothing. No father match. No paternal relatives with my last name. Just strangers. Except for one. At the top of the list. Ethan Hayes, predicted relationship, half-sibling, 27.1% shared DNA. I stop breathing for a second. Hayes. The same name. The same initials. RH. My fingers hover over the screen. Then I tap his profile. 27 years old. Indianapolis, Indiana. Profile picture. A man leaning against a pickup truck, arms crossed, faint smile. Brown hair. Blue eyes. The same blue. The same unmistakable shade I've been staring at in the mirror my entire life. The pieces locked together so cleanly it's almost silent. No confusion. No doubt. Just truth. Ryan Hayes. Ethan Hayes. Me. I lean back in my chair and stare at the ceiling. The room feels different. Not heavier. Lighter. Like something I didn't realize I was carrying has finally been set down. For 31 years, I thought something was wrong with me. That I was harder to love. Harder to understand. Harder to include. But this explains everything. I wasn't difficult. I was just not his. I let out a slow breath. Then another. Then I laugh. Soft at first. Then a little louder. Not because it's funny. But because it's so clear. So simple in a way that almost feels cruel. All those years. All those moments. And it comes down to this. Biology. I pick up my phone again and stare at Ethan's profile. My half-brother. A person who has existed my entire life without knowing I exist. I scroll through what little is public. Location. Job. A couple of tagged photos. Nothing that tells me who he is as a person. Just enough to make him real. And then I see it. A linked family member. Ryan Hayes. No profile photo. No account. But the connection is there. Confirmed. Documented. I set the phone down carefully, like it's something fragile. Because now there's no more waiting. No more guessing. Just decisions. I could stop here. I could take this information and keep it to myself. Build a new understanding of my life without disrupting anyone else's. That would be easier. Cleaner. Safer. But I already know I won't. Because the truth didn't just change how I see myself. It changed how I see everything. My parents. My childhood. Every moment that felt off. And once you see that clearly, you don't go back to pretending. I pick up my phone again. Open a new message. Not to Ethan. Not yet. To someone else. Mom. I stare at her name for a long time. Then I type. I got the results. I don't hit send right away. I sit there. Thinking about all the years she had to tell me. All the chances she didn't take. Then I press send. The response comes faster than I expect. Can we talk? Of course. Not an explanation. Not a denial. Just. Can we talk? I type back. No. Not yet. 3 dots appear. Disappear. Then another message. Emily, please. I don't respond. Because now I have something she can't reshape. Something that doesn't rely on her version of events. I stand up, walk to the window, and look out at the street below. Cars passing. People moving through their day like everything is normal. For them, it is. For me, it isn't. And it won't be again. I turn back to the table. Pick up my phone. And this time, I open a new message. To Ethan Hayes. I stare at the blank screen. Then I start typing. My name is Emily Carter. I'm 31 years old. I recently took a DNA test, and it shows that we might be half-siblings. I stop. Read it. Delete it. Start again. My name is Emily. I think we might be related. Delete. Again. Each version feels wrong. Too much. Too little. Too careful. Too abrupt. I set the phone down. Run a hand through my hair. Because this is different from ordering a test. Different from reading results. This is reaching into someone else's life and changing it. Just like mine was changed. I pick up the phone one more time. And this time, I don't overthink it. I just write. Then I hit send. And just like that, the truth isn't just mine anymore. 36 hours. That's how long it takes for Ethan to respond. Not immediately. Not after a few minutes like people do when they're casually texting. 36 hours of silence that stretches longer than it should because every hour carries weight now. I try not to check my phone. I fail. At work, I glance at it between calls. At home, I keep it face down on the table, then flip it over every 10 minutes anyway. At night, I sleep lighter, like I'm waiting for something even when I'm not fully awake. Because this isn't just a message. It's a door. And I don't know what's on the other side of it. Sunday evening, I'm folding laundry on my bed when my phone buzzes. I freeze. Not dramatically. Not all at once. Just enough that everything else fades out. I pick it up. Ethan Hayes. Hey. I've read your message like 5 times. I don't really know how to respond to this. I showed it to my dad. He said your name out loud like it meant something. He asked what year you were born. When I told him, he just sat down. He wants to talk to you. So do I. I sit down slowly on the edge of the bed. Read it again. Then again. He showed it to his dad. Ryan Hayes. My chest tightens, not from panic, but from something deeper. Recognition. Confirmation. I type back before I can overthink it. I'd like that. The reply comes faster this time. Can I give him your number? I hesitate for half a second. Then type. Yes. I set the phone down. Stand up. Walk to the kitchen. Then back to the bedroom. Then back again. I don't know what to do with my hands. With my thoughts. With the fact that somewhere, a man is sitting with my name in his head for the first time in 31 years. My phone rings 10 minutes later. Unknown number. I stare at it. Let it ring once. Twice. 3 times. Then I answer. Hello? There's a pause. A breath. Then a voice. Emily? It's careful. Controlled. Like he's holding something fragile. Yes. Another pause. Longer this time. I don't even know where to start, he says. His voice isn't what I expected. It's steadier. Warmer. And underneath it, there's something else. Emotion he's trying not to let spill over. You can start anywhere, I say. I hear him exhale softly. I didn't know, he says. I swear to you, I didn't know. I close my eyes for a second. Because I believe him. Not blindly. Not desperately. But instinctively. If I had known, he continues, his voice tightening slightly, I wouldn't have left. I wouldn't have stayed away. I wouldn't have, he stops himself. I didn't know. I believe you, I say. And I do. We talk. At first, it's careful. Measured. Like we're both stepping onto unfamiliar ground, testing each step before putting weight on it. He tells me his side. He and my mom had a relationship while my dad was working out of state. It lasted a few months. Maybe more. He thought it was something real. Then one day, she ended it. No warning. No explanation. Told him it was over. Told him to leave. And he did. Because he thought that was what she wanted. He never knew she was pregnant. He never knew I existed. I tried to look her up years later, he says. Just to see how she was doing. Someone told me she had a family. 2 daughters. I didn't, he exhales. I didn't do the math. 2 daughters. Not 3 people. Not a situation. Just a family. He laughs softly, but there's no humor in it. 31 years, he says. I missed 31 years. You didn't miss them, I say quietly. They were kept from you. There's silence on the other end. Not empty. Full. Like something just settled into place. Can I meet you? He asks after a moment. Would that be okay? I don't hesitate. Yes. We agree to meet halfway. A small town just outside Indianapolis. A coffee shop. Neutral ground. We hang up after that. Not because there's nothing left to say. But because there's too much. I sit there for a long time after the call ends. Phone still in my hand. Because something inside me has shifted again. Not like Easter. Not like the DNA results. This is different. This feels like something being added. Not taken away. Monday morning, I wake up earlier than usual. I don't need an alarm. I don't need anything except the awareness that in a few hours, I'm going to meet someone who has been missing from my life in a way I didn't even fully understand until now. I get ready slowly. Deliberately. Not because I'm trying to impress him. But because this matters. Because I matter. I drive out just before noon. The road stretches ahead of me, familiar and unfamiliar at the same time. Every mile feels like movement towards something I can't quite define yet. I arrive 20 minutes early. Of course I do. I park, sit in the car for a moment, then head inside. The coffee shop is small. Warm lighting. Wooden tables. The smell of fresh coffee and something sweet baking behind the counter. I pick a table near the window. Where I can see the door. Where I can see him before he sees me. I order a black coffee. Don't drink it. Just wrap my hands around the cup and wait. Every time the door opens, I look up. Not him. Not him. Not him. Until the door opens again. And this time, it is. I know before my brain catches up. Before logic steps in. Because something in me recognizes him immediately. He's taller than I expected. Lean. Work boots. Flannel shirt. A jacket that looks worn in, not worn out. His hair is streaked with gray now. But his eyes. Blue. The same unmistakable blue. He steps inside, scanning the room. Then he sees me. And everything about him stops. Not dramatically. But completely. Like his body forgot how to move for a second. His hand lifts slightly, like he's about to do something but doesn't know what. I stand. My legs feel steady. More than steady. Certain. He walks toward me slowly. Each step deliberate. When he reaches me, he stops about 2 feet away. Just stands there. Looking at me. Really looking. Like he's trying to memorize something he just found. You look, he starts, then stops. He swallows. You look like my mother, he says finally. Exactly. I don't know what to say to that. So I don't say anything. We just stand there for a second. 2 people connected by something neither of us chose. But both of us feel. Then he opens his arms. Hesitates for half a second. And I step forward. He pulls me into a hug. Not tight. Not overwhelming. Just careful. Like he's afraid I might disappear if he holds on too hard. I close my eyes for a second. And for the first time in my life, something about this feels right. Not perfect. Not complete. But right. We sit down after that. Start talking. And somewhere between the first question and the second answer, I realize something I didn't expect. I don't feel like I'm meeting a stranger. I feel like I'm finding something that was always supposed to be there. And was never given the chance to be. We sit there for 2 hours. Maybe longer. Time doesn't move the way it usually does. It stretches, folds, disappears in places. Every question leads to another, every answer opens something new, and somewhere along the way, the distance between us starts to shrink. Ryan tells me about his life in pieces. He's been a carpenter for most of it. Custom work. Tables, cabinets, the kind of things people keep for years. He shows me photos on his phone, projects he's proud of, a bookshelf he built for Ethan when he was a kid, a dining table that took him 3 months to finish. I like making things that last, he says, almost like it explains something. It does. He tells me about his marriage. His divorce 8 years ago. About raising Ethan, about long workdays and quiet evenings and the kind of routine that becomes your whole world when you don't realize something's missing. I always thought there was a part of my life that didn't add up, he admits, looking down at his coffee. I just didn't know what it was. I nod slowly. I think I did too, I say. We talk about small things after that. Safe things. My job at the clinic. His workshop. The town I grew up in. The apartment I live in now. But even in the small things, there's something else underneath. Recognition. Not exact. Not identical. But close enough that it feels familiar. At one point, I laugh at something he says. It catches me off guard. The sound of it. Because it's not forced. It's not careful. It's just natural. Ryan looks at me like that moment matters more than anything else we've talked about. You laugh like me, he says quietly. I smile a little. I don't know what that means. It means it sounds the same, he says. Exactly the same. Something in my chest shifts again. Because no one has ever said that to me before. No one has ever pointed at something in me and said, that comes from somewhere. Before we leave, he asks a question that changes the tone just enough to matter. Does he know? He says. I know who he means. He told me not to contact you, I answer. Ryan exhales slowly, like that confirms something he already suspected. He knew, he says. He always knew. I don't respond. Because there's nothing to add to that. We step outside together. The air is colder now than it was when I arrived. We stand there for a second, neither of us quite ready to end the moment. Can I see you again? He asks. I nod. Yes. No hesitation. No uncertainty. Because for the first time in my life, I'm not questioning whether I belong in the connection. We say goodbye after that. Not dramatically. Just a quiet understanding that this isn't the end of something. It's the beginning. I get in my car and sit there for a moment before starting the engine. My phone buzzes. Lauren. I let it ring once. Twice. Then I answer. Hey, I say. Her voice is different. Not rushed. Not confused. Heavy. Mom told me, she says. I lean back against the seat. Everything? Yes. Silence settles between us. Not uncomfortable. Just real. Is it true? She asks. I look out through the windshield, at nothing in particular. Yes. She exhales slowly. I don't even know what to say, she admits. You don't have to say anything. I keep thinking about things, she says. Stuff I didn't notice. Stuff I should have. I don't respond right away. Because this part isn't simple. You weren't supposed to notice, I say finally. That doesn't make it okay. No, I agree. It doesn't. Another pause. Then, softer. Did they know the whole time? Yes. I hear her breath catch slightly. All of it, she asks. Yes. There's a shift in her tone then. Not confusion anymore. Not even just sadness. Something sharper. Is that why, she says? Why they treated you differently? I close my eyes for a second. Yes. The word sits between us. Clear. Unavoidable. Lauren doesn't speak for a few seconds. Then. That's not fair, she says. I let out a small breath. No. It wasn't. She swallows. I'm sorry, she says. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I am. I know. And I do. Because this time, it's not automatic. It's not polite. It's real. What are you going to do? She asks. I think about that. About everything that's happened. About what comes next. I'm going to Christmas, I say. There's a pause. Emily. He told me not to, I continue. He told me if I contacted Ryan, I shouldn't come. And you still are? Yes. Why? I look down at my hands, resting in my lap. Because I'm done sitting at the end of the table pretending everything is normal. She doesn't respond right away. Then. Do you want me there? She asks. The question catches me off guard. Not because of what it is. But because of what it means. You'd come? I ask. Yeah, she says. I would. I let that settle. Then I nod, even though she can't see it. Yes. I want you there. Okay, she says. Then I'll be there. We hang up after that. I start the car. Drive home. The road feels different now. Not because it changed. But because I did. Christmas Eve comes faster than I expect. 6 days. That's all it takes for everything to line up. I park on the street this time. Not in the driveway. I don't want anything about tonight to feel like before. I sit in the car for a second, looking at the house. Same white siding. Same black shutters. Same place that shaped so much of who I am. And who I thought I was. In the passenger seat, my bag rests quietly. Inside it. A folder. Printed DNA results. Names. Percentages. Proof. I pick it up, step out of the car, and walk to the front door. The house is already full. Voices. Laughter. Music playing faintly from the living room. It sounds like every other holiday. Until I open the door. Mom sees me first. Her expression shifts instantly. Relief. Then fear. Then something carefully neutral. Emily, she says. You came. I said I would. Dad is standing near the fireplace. He doesn't move. Doesn't smile. Just watches me. Like he's trying to figure out how this is going to go. Lauren walks in a few minutes after me. She finds me immediately, her hand brushing lightly against my arm as she passes. I'm here, she whispers. I nod. I know. Dinner starts like it always does. Same table. Same seats. Same patterns. Except this time. I don't sit at the end. I pull out a chair in the middle. And I sit down. No one stops me. But everyone notices. I can feel it. The shift. The attention. The awareness that something is different. Dad clears his throat. Gives his usual speech. Gratitude. Family. Another year together. The same words. But they don't land the same. Not anymore. Because now. We all know what's underneath them. Dinner moves forward. Conversations start. But they're thinner. More careful. Like everyone is waiting. For something. For me. I let it build. Not out of cruelty. Not out of drama. But because this moment deserves to be clear. When I finally stand, it's quiet enough that every small movement feels loud. I reach into my bag. Pull out the folder. And hold it in my hands. I need to say something, I begin. My voice is steady. Stronger than I expected. I took a DNA test 7 weeks ago. The room stills. Completely. And just like that. Everything is about to change. The room goes completely quiet. Not the kind of quiet where people are just listening, but the kind where something has already landed before the words fully arrive. I stand there in the middle of the room, the folder steady in my hands, and for the first time in my life, I don't feel like I need permission to take up space. I got the results back, I continue. And they confirm something that should have been told to me a long time ago. Dad shifts in his chair. Emily, this isn't. No, I say calmly, not raising my voice, just stopping him. You've had years to decide what this is. Tonight, I'm deciding. He doesn't interrupt again. I open the folder, pull out the printed pages, and hold them just enough for people to see that this isn't a conversation. It's evidence. My ethnicity results show 0 Italian heritage, I say, glancing briefly at Dad. Which doesn't make sense if I'm your biological daughter. A few people shift uncomfortably. Someone inhales sharply. I keep going. I also have a confirmed DNA match. A half-brother. Ethan Hayes. 27 years old. Lives in Indianapolis. The name hangs in the air. Hayes. It moves through the room like a ripple. I look at my mom. Her hands are shaking now. My biological father is Ryan Hayes, I say. There it is. No more guessing. No more silence. Just the truth. For a second, no one reacts. Not because they don't understand. But because they do. Dad leans back in his chair slowly, like something inside him just gave way. Mom covers her mouth, her shoulders starting to shake. Lauren is standing now, her eyes moving between all of us, trying to process everything at once. I take a breath. You knew, I say, looking at Dad. You've known since I was born. He doesn't deny it. He doesn't even try. He just looks down at his hands. And that's enough. I turn to my mom. You knew too. And you chose to stay quiet. She nods, barely, tears slipping through her fingers. I was scared, she says, her voice breaking. I didn't know what to do. You had options, I reply. I didn't. The words land harder than anything else I've said. Because they're simple. And true. I glance around the room. At the people who watched me grow up. Who sat at this table year after year. Who never asked why things were different. I'm not saying this to hurt anyone, I continue. I'm saying it because I spent 31 years thinking something was wrong with me. My voice doesn't shake. Not once. I thought I was difficult. That I was harder to love. That I just didn't fit. I pause. Then I let the truth settle fully. There was never anything wrong with me. Silence again. But this time, it's different. Heavier. Honest. Dad finally speaks. I stayed, he says, his voice rough. I didn't have to. I stayed and raised you. I look at him. Really look. You stayed, I agree. But you didn't love me the same. He flinches. Just slightly. But it's there. You gave Lauren everything, I continue. The attention. The support. The opportunities. And you gave me just enough to say you did your job. Lauren's face crumples at that. I didn't know, she says, her voice breaking. I swear I didn't know. I turn to her. I know. And I mean it. Because this isn't about her. It never was. Dad runs a hand over his face. I tried, he says quietly. I tried to treat you the same. No, I reply, just as quietly. You didn't. The room holds that moment. No one interrupts. No one looks away. Because there's nowhere to go from here except forward. Mom lowers her hands slowly. I should have told you, she says. I should have protected you. Yes, I say. You should have. She nods, tears still falling. I thought keeping the family together was the right thing, she whispers. At my expense, I answer. She doesn't argue. Because she can't. I take a step back. Not away from them. Just enough to stand on my own. I'm not here for an apology, I say. Not tonight. I look around the room again. At every face. At every person who witnessed this. I just needed the truth to exist out loud, I continue. Not hidden. Not implied. Not whispered after too many drinks. I close the folder and slide it back into my bag. I met Ryan, I add. That gets a reaction. Dad's head lifts. Mom's eyes widen. Lauren's breath catches. He didn't know about me, I say. Not until a few days ago. I let that settle. He would have stayed, I continue. He would have been there. Dad looks away again. Because that part matters. Maybe more than anything else. I'm building something new now, I say. With people who actually see me. I glance at Lauren. She meets my eyes. There's something different there now. Not distance. Not ignorance. Effort. I'm not asking anyone here to choose sides, I finish. I'm just choosing myself. The words feel final. Not angry. Not emotional. Just true. I pick up my coat. The room doesn't stop me. No one tries to block the door. Because they know this isn't something they can undo. I pause at the doorway. Look back one last time. The table. The room. The life I grew up in. I was never the problem, I say. Then I open the door. Step outside. The cold air hits my face, sharp and clean. I walk to my car, get in, and sit there for a second. Just breathing. Not shaking. Not crying. Just steady. For the first time in my life, I know exactly who I am. And more importantly, I know who I'm not. I start the engine and pull away from the house. The same house. The same street. But none of it feels the same anymore. Because I'm not leaving something behind. I'm moving towards something. And that makes all the difference. 6 lives changed. 1 truth finally spoken. 31 years of silence. Broken. If this story stayed with you, subscribe to Women Reddit Stories, because stories like this aren't just about what happens, they're about what finally comes to light. And if you've ever had to choose between keeping the peace and telling the truth, I want to know. Which one did you choose? And what did it cost you?